Hey, what's up YouTube? It's IazRXD here, and today I will be bringing you my Blue Eyes Chaos Max deck profile. Now, for those of you that watched my last video, I promised you a Blue Eyes deck profile in the next week or so, which was a complete lie on my part, considering it's now been nearly a month, maybe even over a month. But I do apologise for how late this video is, and I'm sure by now you've already seen tons and tons of Blue Eyes deck builds. But this is my deck build, and I like to think it's slightly different, if not, more so than other deck builds going around. But I'll let you be the judge of that. The way this deck was built, it was a sort of control turbo based deck that I had in mind. Obviously, it's not 100% control based, but it works very well, and it has won me a number of matches. So without any further ado, I'll get showing you guys a deck. Now, it's a Chaos Max build, so you've got to run 3. Obviously you can run 2. 2 might actually work better, but for me I'm running 3 copies of it. It does double piercing damage, and it can't be targeted or destroyed by opponent card effects. So yeah, on top of being a 4K beta, it's really good. Next we have 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon, a 3K beta, level 8, so it's a trade-in target, much like Chaos Max, but you really ever want to trade in your Chaos Max. You want to try and keep Chaos Max in your hand at all times. Next up we have 3 alternative White Dragons. It must first be special summoned from your hand by revealing 1 Blue Eyes White Dragon first. So it is, while it is slightly overpowered, it's fairly easy to search and summon. And once per turn it can simply destroy one of your opponent's monsters. Should it use this effect, it cannot attack that turn though. But more often than not, you will either Synchro Summon or Xyz Summon a monster using this card, which can attack. So it's not a complete loss. Next, I run the 1 copy of Dragon Spirit of White. This is just one of the many cards, or, well, one of the number of cards I run, which helps with spell and trap removal. I like to bump this guy up to 2, but at the minute it is at 1, so unless I find something to take out, it's going to stay at 1. But yeah, you know, when it's normal or special summoned, you can banish one of your opponent's spell or trap cards, and you contribute this card if your opponent has a monster during either player's turn to special summon the vanilla Blue Eyes White Dragon from your hand. Next up we have our tuners. You have 3 Sage. This is a searcher. It allows you to add a level 1 light tuner from deck to hand. So it will search your stones or effect veilers if you choose to run any. And then obviously you can discard this from your hand and then tribute 1 effect monster you control to special summon a Blue Eyes monster from your deck. So it's really great. It has to be run at 3. And then, like Sage, you have to run 3 White Stone of Ancients. This card is without a doubt the bread and butter of this deck. If you didn't have this card in a Blue Eyes deck, it just becomes worthless. Basically, at the end of a turn, it can be yours or your opponent's. If this card was sent to the graveyard, whether it's destroyed by battle or it was discarded from your hand or sent, from a deck to the graveyard, then you get to special summon 1 Blue Eyes monster from your deck. Unfortunately, this does not special summon an alternative White Dragon or the Chaos Max, because Chaos Max must be ritual summoned and alternative must first be special summoned from your hand. But it does give you 4, eligible targets from deck to special summon, and more often than not, the first stone that is sent to the graveyard and that allows me to special summon is Dragon Spirit of White. That will always be my first target, just to help in spell and trap card removal. But yeah, you can probably run this at 2, I think. But it does help if it's ran at 3, because you can also banish this card from your graveyard to return a Blue Eyes monster from your graveyard to your hand. And that works on every single Blue Eyes monster in this deck. That secondary effect of stone allows you to return a Chaos Max, a Blue Eyes alternative, or a Blue Eyes Spirit from your graveyard to your hand / extra deck. So it's really beneficial, this card is. Next we run 1 copy of White Stone of Legend. Basically, it's in here just for its ability to search for Blue Eyes when it's sent to graveyard, and also because it's a tuner, which allows me to play Card of Consonance. Aside from that, it's really iffy. I mean, you can use it to synchro summon, but I probably wouldn't recommend it. Next up, we have 3 copies of Manju of 10,000 hands. When it's normal or flip summoned, you can add a ritual monster or a ritual spell from deck to hand. Primarily, you want to use its ability to add the ritual spells, because there are other ways to search for your Chaos Max. But if you open with a ritual spell and this, just normal summon it, get the ritual monster, play the ritual spell, and get your Chaos Max to the field. So it's alright. Afterwards, we have the last of our monsters, 3 Maxis. Without Maxi, this deck falls apart because you need as much draw power as possible. Some decks I play, they like to special summon, so by just dropping this card, I can draw maybe 2 to 5 cards each time, which then helps me thin my deck down to get the cards I want, and ultimately bring out my Chaos Max Dragon. So yeah, that's the monster lineup. I'll just move that to one side for you. And then we're on our spells, because I run no traps. 3 copies of Chaos Form. Originally I ran 1 Chaos Form and 2 Advanced Ritual Art, but Advanced Ritual Art requires you to send normal monsters from your deck to a graveyard to ritual summon, and with how fast paced this deck can be, and how much thinning that it does from a deck, more often than not, that I have no other normal targets in my deck to actually use Advanced Ritual Art for, and literally I only have 3 cards, so which are my 3 Blue Eyes White Dragon vanilla cards. So yeah, more often than not, they end up in my hand or field or graveyard and not my deck. So Advanced Ritual Art does not benefit me very well. So that's why I run 3 Chaos Form, and you can also banish a Blue Eyes White Dragon from your graveyard for the ritual summon of Chaos Max, which is absolutely great. Next, we have 3 copies of Melody of Awakening Dragons. You discard a card, which more often than not will be one of your stones, and that allows you to add up to 2 monsters with 3k or more attack and 2500 or less defense from your deck to your hand. So this card here can search for your Blue Eyes Alternative, or your Chaos Max. So for your Chaos Max, you effectively have 6 search cards. That's your Manju and your 3 copies of this. But you want to mainly use this to search for your Blue Eyes and Alternative, or if you have one of those already in your hand, you'll then use it to search for the other one and a Chaos Max, just to thin that deck down a little bit. Next, we have 3 copies of Trading. Trading is such a good card in this deck. It really helps with the draw power, and you effectively have 10 targets to use Trading for. And with Stone's ability to banish itself and recycle, you never not use Trading, basically. Next up, we have 3 copies of Return of a Dragon Lord. The best card in the deck in terms of spell cards. You can target a level 7 or 8 dragon in your graveyard and special summon it, so this also works on fusion and synchro monsters. Not Xyz monsters, because it states a level, not a rank. But yeah, you can use it to bring out the Blue Eyes, the Alternative, if it was first special summoned by its effect from your hand. You can bring back a Dragon Spirit of White, or a number of cards in the extra deck, which I'll get round to showing you guys. Next, we run 2 Card of Consonance. I run 4 targets of this card, so I figured a 4 and 2 ratio works best. And I have to admit, I don't draw into this card as often as I would like, but it's still there if I need it, and if push comes to shove, it's just a card to ditch for your Melody or your Twin Twisters. Speaking of Twin Twisters, we run 2. I would like to play 3 of this card, but I don't have a 3rd copy, so instead I run the 1 Soul Charge. Normally I wouldn't even think about running Soul Charge, but with all the Blue Eyes monsters and, you know, synchro monsters that end up in your graveyard, Soul Charging them back can be really beneficial for an OTK the next turn, or just meat shield yourself. But yeah, that's the only reason I run Soul Charge. I think at the minute I could take Soul Charge out for a 2nd Dragon Spirit of White, or the third Twin Twister when I acquire it. But at the minute, Soul Charge is in there just because it's a great tech card for this deck. Now, that's all the spells. As I said previously, I don't actually run any traps, which has been proven to be this deck's downfall. But I think as it stands now, this deck is really good. But I'll let you guys decide that. So going on extra deck, we have our 3 copies of Dragon Spirit of White. You can probably get away with running 2 of this, but I like just running with 3 of them instead. Neither player can special summon 2 or more monsters at the same time. So it does put a stop to, or rather hinder, pendulums. And of course, Soul Charge can only bring back 1. And yeah. And it has a second ability, sorry. My mind went blank there. Where you contribute it during either player's turn to special summon 1 light synchro monster from your graveyard in defense mode, but then at the end phase you destroy it. So cards like Azure Eyes are great because Azure Eyes' ability sort of cancels Spirit's ability to destroy after Azure Eyes is brought out. So if you, in your opponent's end phase, if you chain the ability, sort of activate the ability of Spirit, special Azure Eyes, Azure Eyes' ability stops Spirit's ability from destroying Azure Eyes because it was brought out by its effect during the end phase, and then your next standby phase you get for free special summon with Spirit's effect. So it's a great card to run. Next up we have 1 Black Rose Moonlight and 1 Michael. Basically I will only ever go into Michael or Moonlight if I know I can make the next card, which is Crystal Wing. Crystal Wing is a great card to run, especially its ability to negate and obviously gain attack when it battles a level 5 or higher monster. Its downfall can be Xyz monsters, but it's, you know, it's a level 8, so it can be easily brought back with Return of a Dragonlord. And of course, if you already have a Return of a Dragonlord in your graveyard, you can banish it to prevent its destruction. So more often than not, if I don't go for Chaos Max, then Crystal Wing will be my win condition. And of course, if you go with the Spirit's ability to bring out Moonlight during your opponent's turn, just bounce one of their special summon monsters back to the extra deck before the end phase, which then destroys it. But yeah, that's my synchro lineup. I don't run any fusions. I mean, I did run Twin Burst at one point, but I cut it out in favour of more Xyz monsters. So starting the Xyz lineup off is Divine Dragon Knight Felgrand. If I get Chaos Max out on the field, my next aim is to get this out. While it's not got very high attack points, you can detach 1 and then a monster loses its ability but then is unaffected by other card effects. So Quaking Mirror Force does affect Chaos Max, but by detaching one from Divine Dragon by detaching 1 from Felgrand, you negate Chaos Max's ability of double piercing damage, and instead Quaking Mirror Force completely does nothing to it, and then your attack will continue. It's not ideal, but at the minute it's the best counter to Quaking and stuff like that I can think of and actually use. Of course, there is the Lancelot, but Lancelot's ability is, you know, forcefully negating stuff. You can't choose to do so, so they can always bait Lancelot out. And of course, it's only got 2k attack points, so it's pretty easy to run over it. Next up, we have the number 38. I love this card so much just because it can negate spells, but also it can sort of redirect an attack to itself. So if if I summon a Sage just to get the Search of Sage, they'll see Sage as an easy target to attack into and inflict damage, but by detaching 1 from 38, it redirects the attack to, you know, itself instead of the Sage that was originally targeted for an attack. I do apologise, my voice is going, so I'll try and speed this up for you. Next we have a number 107, Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. In this deck, as much as I don't like it, because I do think Tachyon Dragon's a really amazing card, the only use for Tachyon is to go into full armor Photon. So yeah, I feel as though I am sort of spitting on Tachyon Dragon metaphorically, by not even using its ability, but it's just an easy way to get your full armor out, which can then lead you into 95 if you so choose. Now, it wasn't until a couple of days ago that I acquired the next card, but I just love it so much, and it's Galaxy Eyes Cypher Dragon. It's the new card from Dragons of Legend 3, which is actually only just came out last Thursday in the UK. And I just love its ability to detach one and steal one of your opponent's monsters. In addition to that, this is the only card that can attack directly if it uses its ability, but you can use this stolen monster to attack any other monsters your opponent controls. And it's really good in a mirror match, especially if they're running a rank 8 based deck, because you can steal one of their level 8s and use one of your level 8s to go into another Xyz summon, which means you don't have to give back the stolen monster, which is excellent. But yeah, anyway guys, that is my Chaos Max deck build. In the next day or two, I will be presenting you with a Blue Eyes Galaxy combination deck build, which I've actually started playing because I hate mirror matches, Blue Eyes on Blue Eyes. Because Blue Eyes is now popular and it's competitive and tier 1 like, everyone started playing it. So I got a bit fed up playing what is essentially my deck. So I decided to mix it up a little bit and combine the Galaxy support into Blue Eyes, and I have to say it works really, really well. So I think that'll be a treat for you guys. But yeah, this is iAzerXD signing off.